Hi, and in this MicroVid, we're going to be talking about the concept of convection. And what is convection? Well, convection is the bulk movement of a gas or a fluid. So you can think of this as water in a stream or a river, right? It's moving, that individual water molecules are moving down, or if you were to take little chunks of that water and sort of see it as it flows down that river, it's not moving on its own accord. What's happening is gravity is the driving force behind the bulk movement of that water. And so we have this similar issue here in the respiratory system where we have two main convective systems. The first one is a system that brings bulk air from outside the body to the lungs and vice versa. The second system is the system that brings blood from the systemic capillaries to the pulmonary capillaries and back again. So these convective systems play a really important role in gas exchange. So let's take a closer look at that. So when we look at the convective system that's depicted right here, we see air moving towards the atmosphere as we exhale, and it's moving into the lungs as we inhale. So this bulk movement of air is the first convective system in the respiratory system that we are going to look at. The second one is blood. And so with the blood, we see that blood moves towards the pulmonary capillaries here, and it's going to go to the systemic capillaries and then go from the systemic capillaries back to the pulmonary capillaries. So what does this do? What is the whole point of it? Well, the whole point of it is to enhance diffusion by producing and maintaining steeper gradients. And this is going to become clearer as I explain it. So what is diffusion? Well, diffusion is the movement of molecules based on their kinetic energy. So let's go over here to see if we can explain the differences in these convective systems a little bit more in detail. So here we have what we're looking at is we're looking at basically a simplified version of the respiratory system. Right here we have, whoops, let me undo that. Right here we have the mouth, and then we're going down through the lungs, and then we keep going down, and then finally we get down here to the alveoli. Now, what we see right here with this 16th division is we see this sort of invisible line, because convection can only get air from the atmosphere to about the 16th division of the lungs. It can't go any further because the airways become so narrow that bulk movement of air is impossible. So we still have to get the air from the 16th division down to the actual alveoli, and how we do that is through diffusion. So diffusion is going to be the main driving force from the 16th division to the actual alveoli, but we need convection as well in order to bring fresh air into that 16th division, so that as CO2 is dropped off, if you will, CO2 from the blood is dropped off and it moves into the alveoli, and via diffusion it can move up to this point, right? And then what happens is, because we're continuing via convection renewing the air with fresh atmospheric air, it's going to, CO2 will have a gradient to move where it can be picked up via convection. Now, if convection were not present, what would happen is we would see equilibrium of CO2 with the alveoli and all the way up here as well, and we would see that CO2 would build up and O2 would decrease, because O2 is moving, if you will, via diffusion, moving into the pulmonary capillaries. So convection, what we see over here, convection enhances diffusion by producing and maintaining those steep concentration gradients that we need in order for gas exchange to occur. This is going to make a lot more sense as we continue on through the lecture, so just hold on to your bridges. I hope this has been helpful.